Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk today about UK and the Korean War. Okay, UK sent the second highest amount of soldiers to the Korean War. The highest amount came from the United States of America, but second was the UK, and they had the second highest number of casualties in the Korean War. Over 1,000 British soldiers died in the Korean War, and that was more than the Falklands War, the Iraq War, and the Afghanistan War combined. And Britain really likes South Korea. Samsung invests heavily in the UK, and the UK buys a lot of Samsung products. The K-pop star Psy is really popular in the UK. They like Korea. But at the same time, Britain's achievements in the Korean War are largely unknown in Britain. And that I firmly believe that needs to change. And the two really good books on Britain and the Korean War are To the Last Round and Scorched Earth, Black Snow. They're by British journalist Andrew Salmon. He's based in Korea. And he really covers and talks about UK's involvement in the Korean War. Okay? We talk about the weapons the British soldiers used in the Korean War. They used the Bren machine gun. That was the most common weapon that they used. And the type bullet it had was the 303 caliber bullet. So that was the type bullet that the Bren machine gun had. And a lot of British officers carried the 38 caliber pistol on their holsters. And the first British casualties in the Korean War came from the Royal Navy or the British Navy. And that happened on July 8th, 1950. And 6 British sailors aboard the ship, the HMS Jamaica, were killed by North Korean artillery fire. And the brave British sailors died helping keep South Korea free. Okay. The first land-based soldiers that came to the Korean War, the first Army soldiers, was the 27th Infantry Brigade. Before the Korean War, they were stationed in Hong Kong, and if you were a British soldier looking for easy duty and rest and relaxation, Hong Kong was where you needed to be, because the Korean War was only 5 years after World War II, so Europe was still filled with a lot of death and destruction, and there was a lot of rebuilding that needed to happen. And if you were not in Europe or Hong Kong, you were in Malaysia fighting against communist guerrillas in the jungles of Malaysia. So Hong Kong was fairly easy duty. But the British Prime Minister at the time, it was a man by the name of Clement Attlee. Clement Attlee ordered the British soldiers to go to the Korean War and fight in Korea. And the first land soldiers to get there, the first Army soldiers, was the 27th Infantry Brigade. They fought in the Battle of Busan Perimeter, largely along the Nakdong River. And they also fought against a lot of communist guerrillas, not just regular North Korean soldiers, but communist guerrillas as well. And one of the tactics that the communist guerrillas used against them was they would pour dead bodies in the whales. So the British soldiers could drink water that was contaminated by dead people. That happened one time, but thanks to the Lord above, no British soldier got sick. And also what North Koreans would do sometimes is that these British soldiers would come in a village, and then they would set up an artillery perimeter around the village and then start firing at the British soldiers there. That was how difficult of a job the 27th Infantry Brigade faced. Now, the soldiers that fought in the Battle of Imjin River, that was the 29th Infantry Brigade. And the hills that they defended, the land they defended on the Imjin River, the South Korean military defends the exact same places. That's how much the South Korean military admires what the British military did at Imjin River. That's how competent the British military was. South Korea defends the exact positions. And there's a famous hill there called Hill 235. And that's where the Gloucestershire Regiment of the 29th Infantry Brigade made a heroic stand. And while the British were eventually ran off that hill and the Chinese took that hill, the Chinese suffered heavy, heavy casualties. And the Gloucesters almost fought to the very last man. And that regiment, the Gloucestershire Regiment, was composed of mainly soldiers from the southwest part of England. The southwest part. And they were tough soldiers. They actually were one of the few soldiers in the UK that were given a hero's welcome when they came back to Korea. Most British soldiers were largely ignored when they came back to Korea, but the Gloucestershire Regiment was given a heroic welcome. and they deserved it. Now, Britain also sent their Marines to the Korean War. Before I get to that, the Battle of Imjin River, that was the battle where the British suffered the highest amount of casualties in any battle after World War II. So any battle after World War II, the Battle of Imjin River had the highest number of British casualties. And they fought against the 63rd Chinese Army. And Britain also sent their Marines, but when you read the book, it may say 41 Commando, but it's 41 Commando, not 41st. So if you read the number 41, say 41 Commando. They're commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Douglas Drysdale. And they did a lot of behind enemy lines, sabotaging of enemy communication lines, and enemy railroads. So, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.